Hey reader friends, and welcome back to another video. I am so excited for today's video. It's going to be all about what I read in a week, and specifically today is Christmas. So Merry Christmas everyone. I hope you're having a great holiday season with your friends and family wherever you may be. And I hope you're also taking the time to read this week. This week is a little bit awkward for most of us. I personally love taking off this week from work and just focusing on spending time with those I care about the most, and my husband's family, my family, our friends. But it's also a great time for me to just get some downtime from the normal schedule that I have in my crazy hectic life. So during my downtime this week, I'm so excited to get through some books, and some of those that have been on my TBR for quite some time. The first book that I want to get through this week is A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. I read the first two installments of this series early on in the fall and I absolutely loved them. I read the second one and gave it 5 stars. This is the third and final book in the trilogy, and I've actually already started it. I'm probably about 70% through, as you can see. I'm totally anticipating that I will get through this either today or tomorrow, depending on how ambitious I might feel. And then once I finish this, we'll take a look at my TBR shelf and kind of pick through and see which book I feel like reading next. I have quite a few nonfiction, mysteries, thrillers, more fantasy books as well. So I'm just gonna leave it up to how I'm feeling that day and what my mood is, depending upon which book I end up picking next. But right now I'm really enjoying this book. It is the perfect cozy read to snuggle up with on Christmas Day with a nice soft blanket and a nice hot cup of tea. So with that being said, let's get reading. Guys, I don't know why I thought it would take me until tomorrow to finish this book. It's still the same day. As you can tell, I'm wearing the same outfit and everything. I couldn't put it down. I literally sat in the same spot on the couch for like probably an hour or two binging this book to finish it. I freaking loved it. Oh my gosh, this book, what do I even say? I think I need to just like sit in this book for like a couple days before I give you my final thoughts and my final rating. It's gonna be high, I'm just gonna say that. I freaking love this book. There's so much to be said about it. Not gonna pick up anything new tonight. I definitely still have time today to start a new book and get into a new read. I don't think I'm in the mood for it right now. This freaking book, man, like killed me today. Oh, my mind is like so frazzled over it. So I don't know, we'll have to see what tomorrow will hold. But yeah, definitely love this book. I binged the whole thing. If you haven't read it, pick it up, please, 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 please pick it up. It is probably one of the greatest series I've ever read. So, yep, we'll try again tomorrow and see kind of what I'm in the mood for. So it's finally the next day, and I think I'm officially in a little bit of a reading slump from A Curse for True Love, which I finished last night. I totally binged it within like a matter of a couple of days, and it was so good and so addicting that I'm having a really hard time thinking about what I want to pick next from my TBR shelf, just because I don't want to be disappointed if I end up picking something that's more fantasy. I don't think I want to go that route just because I don't want to get let down. My expectations are just really high right now. I do have a couple books on my TBR that I want to get through before the end of the year. I think it's very attainable to kind of read through these. They're a little bit shorter, so I'm going to go ahead and pull them out and we can kind of talk through them and see how I'm feeling based upon my mood for what I want to read next. And I officially am in a reading slump. You guys, there are just no books that can live up to that right off the bat. It's just going to be so hard jumping into another fantasy book, so I think I need to kind of change it up, and I'm still thinking through that book and loving it so much. I just don't want to get disappointed by reading another fantasy right now. I do have a few other fantasies on my TBR shelf. It's a little bit sparse right now, but I do have a couple books that I picked out here that I think I might be in the mood for. So we'll kind of talk through a couple of these and then kind of see what I feel like picking next. The first book that I have on my TBR is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. I originally saw this through one of my fellow booktubers. She really recommended it and really loved it. It's more of a heartwarming story, and I believe it's basically about a teacher that wants to adopt one of her students. I don't think it's a very long read. It looks like it's a little over 230 pages, so I should be able to fly through this one. It sounds really cute, super heartwarming. It is the day after Christmas, so I'm still kind of feeling like I want a cute, cozy type of a read. So this is definitely a really good option. The next one I have is Paris is Always a Good Idea by Jen McKinley, I think. This is a very cute romance. It's basically about a girl who studied abroad during her years in college, and then she moves back to the States. While she's back home, she ends up becoming heartbroken and decides to go back to Europe and try to re-find some of these men that were in her life during her college years and try to reconnect with them and form a new romantic connection. So that could be really interesting. I think there's like 2 or 3 men that she kind of goes after. Yeah, Jean-Claude in France and Marcelino in Italy and Colin in Ireland. So we're kind of following these 3 different men that she chases after to see like which one she falls in love with. So I think because this one's set in more modern day, this could be a really cute read for this week. Finish up the last week of the year. The next one I have is How to Find Love in a Bookshop by Veronica Henry. Never read anything by Veronica Henry before, but she's a really esteemed romance novelist, and I'm kind of curious to see how this is. I think it takes place obviously in a bookstore. Other than that, I don't really know much more than the fact that it's about a love story and it takes place in a bookstore. So what more cozy could you get than that? So I definitely have a couple of really good options. I have 2 thrillers. I don't think I'm going to go the thriller route. I don't think I want to get my system shocked right now. I'm not in that much of a reading slump. Also, it's still that Christmas season. I'm still kind of feeling like I want to read like a cozy read, something that's very like heartwarming and uplifting. So I think I'm going to go with How to Find Love in a Bookshop by Veronica Henry. I'm really excited to read this one, you guys. It is really floppy. Love a good floppy book, right? And it's 340 pages or so. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is, this might be the last book that I get through by the end of this week. We have a couple of other like social events that we're going to with like the Christmas season and all that. So this might be the very last book I read, but I think this will be a really good one to end the year with. And we can always jump into some of these other ones in the first week of January. So let's get reading and kind of jump into How to Find Love in a Bookshop. couple days and I've started to read through How to Find Love in a Bookshop by Veronica. And you guys, I really thought this was going to be a super cute, heartwarming, uplifting read to kind of end the year on. However, it's been so sad. Like, the first couple chapters were introduced to our main character, Emilia. Emilia loses her father, and her father and her kind of co-own this bookstore together. They actually live in the apartment upstairs, and this bookstore is in this cute little charming town in England called Peasbrook, I believe. And he passes away. They have a very close relationship together, and she is just left with this business of this bookstore, which happens to be failing, and she just doesn't know what to do. So I'm really curious to kind of see where this goes. I'm only a third of the way through, and I think I'm on page like 108 out of 340. So maybe in the next 2/3 it starts to get a little bit more heartwarming and endearing, but so far it's been very sad, which to me, I thought this was going to be like a pure romance book that was like super cute and quaint, and right now it's just like really down. So we'll have to see what happens. I have high expectations. I do love her writing and her prose, so we'll see what happens next. Okay, you guys, so it's officially the end of the week, and I have finished a total of 2 books for the last week of the year. It was a really great week to just spend some time with my family, do some social things, and then in my downtime I was able to kind of plow through these 2 books. So the 2 books I ended up reading this week was A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber and How to Find Love in a Bookshop by Veronica. And how about we start with How to Find Love in a Bookshop? I just finished this one, and I basically went in with the expectation that this was going to be a really cute, like cozy romance type of a read, which was what I wanted for like the last week of the year. I wasn't wanting to jump into a new series or anything like that, and I wanted to be able to kind of just enjoy like a very cute book where I didn't have to like think too much about the plot or like thinking of a new world or anything like that like I would in a fantasy. I was a little bit disappointed by this book though. Basically in this we are following multiple POVs. There are a ton of different characters. Because there's so many different kinds of characters, it became a little bit confusing at times to kind of figure out what was going on or what the overall like plot of the story was. It ends up taking place in Peasbrook, England, where we are following the tale of Emilia. Emilia ends up inheriting her father's bookstore after he suddenly passes away, and she's kind of left with, what do I do with this bookstore? Do I want to keep it? Do I want to sell it? It isn't doing very well at all financially, so she's having to kind of figure out what to do with this bookstore. Does she want to continue her father's legacy? Meanwhile, she's dealing with all of this grief of losing her father, and the whole town, it is kind of endearing. I will say the one like cute part about this book and heartwarming part about this book is the fact that all of these townspeople end up rallying behind Emilia and her bookstore to try and hopefully keep the legacy of the bookstore alive, because it has touched so many people in the community, made different impacts in their lives for the better. So I think that's kind of what the overall theme of this book is that bookstores can change lives. We become better people when we stay connected with the community and embrace those small businesses. I, for one, did not really like this book at all. It didn't have a very cohesive plot. It was very character driven, and I think I'm somebody who really enjoys like a really good plot, and there wasn't a lot of movement in terms of what's the purpose of what's happening to all of these characters. It just became too much over time, and so for that reason I ended up giving it like 2 stars. I wasn't super enthralled by it. I probably wouldn't recommend it to somebody. I will probably read another Veronica book just to give her another try, just because she is so well beloved and liked by the community. But for this, I just wasn't feeling it. And if you remember, we started this week with A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber, and I have been thinking about this book like non-stop. And I was having a really hard time like coming up with a rating for it, which is why I kind of stepped away from it for a couple of days. But I ended up giving it 5 stars, and basically the reason for that is that I I love this world that Stephanie Garber has built for this book. Like, it is absolutely so enchanting, and I can't help but smile every time I think about these characters and this world. Yes, could there have been points in this book where I felt like more time could have been spent on specific events, or, perhaps there were a couple chapters that were a little bit boring, it was a little bit slow in some parts, yes. However, it ended up being a 5-star read for me because I could not stop thinking about it, and the ending was just really good in my opinion. I thought it really cohesively wrapped up the entire series, and I absolutely adored this book. I adore this series. That concludes our week of reading for the last week of the year. It has been such a good year for reading, you guys. I ended up finishing off this year with 65 books. I'm really excited for 2024 and all of the reads that I hopefully will get to. Comment down below with some of your favorite reads for the month of December and for 2023. You guys, I'm so thankful for you all. It is just such a blessing to be part of this community. I love you guys so much, and comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!